Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there lived a beautiful young woman named Esther. Now, Esther wasn't born into royalty, but when the king's brother married her cousin, she found herself living in a palace, one step away from the throne. In fact, when the king's wife, Queen Vashti, was removed from her position because she wouldn't obey the king's command, Esther took her place. And so, against all odds, this young woman who'd been raised in exile was now the queen of a foreign land. While life in the palace was full of luxury and finery, Esther couldn't forget her people, the Jews, who'd been scattered and subjugated throughout the empire. They'd lost their freedom, their land, their very identity. And now their lives were in danger too, because the king had decreed that all the Jews were to be wiped out. When Esther heard this, fear almost made her give up. After all, what could one woman do against an entire empire? But then she remembered something. God had brought her to the palace, not for her own sake, but for such a time as this, to use her position to help her people. So with the words, "If I perish, I perish," she went to the king. Even though it meant going against the law which said that only the king's wife could come to him unsummoned. When Esther entered the king's chamber, he was so pleased to see her that he not only forgave her crime, but also granted her request to have the Jews reinstated as citizens of the empire and allowed them to defend themselves against their enemies. And so, because of one queen's bravery, an entire nation was saved. You see, bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's standing up despite it, speaking out despite the risk, and it's helping others despite the cost. And that's why we remember Esther, the queen who wasn't afraid to stand up for what was right, even if it meant standing alone. Do you know someone who's a modern-day Esther? Someone who shows bravery and kindness to those around them? Well, share their story in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of courage and faith.